E aí, galera que está ligadaça na Rádio StayRock Brasil, beleza? Hoje estamos aqui com um convidado super especial. Burke Thomas, compositor e baterista da banda Loaded. Para quem não conhece a banda Loaded, a banda foi fundada pelo baixista do Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan. Burke, my man, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to be in the sun. It's good to be in Nevada. Somewhere. I don't know this part of town. I'm in a desert town in northern Nevada, taking a break from all the wet in Seattle. Just a little vacation.
So now you're heading down from Seattle down
to Vegas.
Mm.
I wish I could have been visiting Vegas on a big victory for my football team, but they just got their hearts crushed last night. I'm a huge Raider fan. I go through a period of about a week of mourning, and then I'm able to pull out of it. But it'll be good to see some family and walk in the sand a little bit and see the new stadium.
Oh, nice, man, nice.
Yeah.
Burke, I was looking at your bio, man. I was so impressed. You played, besides playing for Duff McKagan, you played for Vendetta, Red, Dr. Funk, Curses of the North, right?
Yeah.
And loads of more.
Sure.
Question that I have in my head here is, how did you start with music? Because you didn't start playing with these guys like this, right?
Well, I fell in love with music when I was, so there was an alternative rock station in Los Angeles called K-Rock 106.7. I think it's still there, but back in the day, I grew up loving new wave, right after punk, then the synthesizers and whatever, X, Oingo Boingo, Gary Newman, Duran Duran, The Pretenders, U2, Simple Minds, all that stuff. And so I fell in love through K-Rock, because at the time K-Rock was pretty cutting edge on all the new stuff coming out. And I did my grandfather, I knew him very short time. I only knew him about a year. He was a police officer in Chicago. And he bought me a snare drum when he was visiting once, but I didn't do much with it. I took like one lesson and it was boring. But fast forward a few years, when I was around 12, I saw a band play Wipeout during lunch in the center, the low lunch area, and it just blew me away, like the way kids were going back to class talking about, wow, what an amazing drummer, that was crazy. And I just felt so much adrenaline that from that point on, I had to learn how to play Wipeout. I went to the swap meet, the market that weekend, and I tried to pick out some drums. And from that point, I just listened to records and taught myself how to play drums. And then my sister had an acoustic guitar in her room, and she quit pretty early on. She was a singer and she tried to play guitar, but and she didn't even put the strings on correctly. They're like way too tight. But I would always sneak into her room and teach myself guitar on her guitar, and then put it back before she got home. So that's kind of when I crossed over. And there was a player piano in our house that we were never supposed to touch. But every time my stepdad was out of the house, I would sneak over and teach myself how to play piano, listening to U2 songs and stuff like that. So that's kind of where all the mix of the instruments came in, just listening to records and playing by ear. That's pretty much it. Zero theory, zero lessons.
Cause I've been talking to loads and loads of musicians worldwide, and I know at the beginning is hard as hell. It's not boom, you're a rock star. If you can tell us how hard it is or how easy it is.
A musician's career is like the Swiss Alps or whatever. It's there's no consistent. Very, very, very small percentage. Maybe if you're Kenny Aronoff or something, but even back, he had rough patches in the beginning too. Now he's consistent, but it's always going to huge ups, huge downs, and you just really have to love music to stick to it. Because I've known a lot of super talented, more talented than me, far, far more, just quit because they got too frustrated, too heartbroken after a while, just because of whatever happened in their career. It was too heartbreaking. But I still love music too much I had too many ideas and too much energy to stop, so you just have to put up with those low periods and push through.
I hear you. And talk about the career, I mean, and also like you have been composing things for Dockers, That Hustler, Hustle actually. What else around here? Also, Acer Life, right? And Mormon Clip. I
Oh yeah.
mean, how did you get in to do
You know
these
what it
things?
is like in every in your discipline and in business in general, it's really
Hmm.
just who you meet, right? I mean, you could have some talent and you can put in hard work, but the most important thing is people, relationship building. You know, it can get
Like,
you in a lot of doors, right? And you can't meet some people and like have nothing to offer, you know. But what I'm saying is, if you have drive and if you have a little bit of talent and you meet the right people at the right time, that's the trick. Um, as far as the composing for commercials, that
mhm,
again, it's like through knowing how to record myself, through knowing how
mhm,
to produce myself, other people see that or hear that and say, I think you would be good for this project. And then you do one project, two projects, and you develop kind of a resume.
mhm.
And they say, oh yeah, no, that was a great job, we have another one for you, or that was a great job, we know this other people who do the same stuff, you should do that one too. And that leads to these commercials. And in this case, the ones that you're seeing is a company in Seattle that does a lot of corporate ads.
Mhm.
And it was the owner of this company used to be a bass player in a band that I played in long ago, and now he's doing something else. And he knew that I did this stuff back in the day, so now he brought me on. And he doesn't have to deal with a bunch of personalities. He's just dealing with one guy.
I
And sometimes
see.
I'll go down there and I'll just do a drum track for like 20 minutes because all he needs is a drum track for some commercial. Sometimes he'll send me a whole project. There's been other stuff like um, Google and Amazon and stuff. And I mean,
Oh.
I audition for a lot of stuff that I don't get, but at least they're
Mhm.
calling me to say, hey, I think you might be good for this, you know. So it's not 100% victory all the time. I'd say maybe I get half of them, but it is really cool supplemental income when I'm not on stage or whatever, to be able to compose and do, and you know, be able to sound like I'm pro or whatever.
I hear you. I mean, it's good, Burke, because you got lots of open doors. I mean, as you said, if you're not on tour, you can be at home, and at least you're not home like waiting for the next tour. Like you got
Yeah.
a lot of stuff going on. That's pretty good, man. Because I know lots of the musicians, they as soon as they off tour, they spend time home, like and
Yeah.
then like no, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna do. But you seem to be like like a machine, like like a tornado, like
Yeah, I have a hard time sleeping. I have really bad sleep hours, and I'm constantly, you know, full of ideas and a lot of energy. And when I'm not doing that, I'm like physically active. Even though I was in a
that's
really bad
good.
accident
Uh-huh.
last year, that limited me quite a bit. I'm still able to. I have my studio and I have all the instruments and I have the recording stuff, and I'm able to send all these things, you know, via the internet and still do business in a musical way, which is pretty cool. I don't like, yeah, I'm never like, what do I do with myself?
Yeah, I hear you. And last year, I think it was last year, right? You had a car accident,
Yeah, I was
unfortunately.
playing with,
Hmm.
well, so Roger Fisher, the original guitar player of Heart,
Hmm.
found me through another band. See, again, and people get to know people. The guy
Like,
who actually invited me into this band actually quit before I even started. Um, but we were rehearsing because Roger wanted to put together, in the Seattle area, there's like 10 Heart cover bands or Heart tribute bands. I think every member of the original Heart has their own tribute band. But he was starting one because he's like, I wrote half these songs. I want to start my own Heart thing and make some money and travel around. So he recruited me, and we were doing rehearsing all the original Heart stuff. And the very first show of the very first tour, I was driving back to my house, and I said I live in the mountains, and there's a bunch of switchbacks, and we just had a huge snowstorm. I ended up flipping my van and got ejected, and I had spine surgery, 5 broken ribs, a concussion. This left ear was hanging off. They had to sew it back on. So it was pretty bad, and I was paralyzed for a few days. So now, like, I still have tingling hands and feet, and I have a little trouble walking, very, very stiff.
mhm.
It's a life change for sure. and it's every day is an adventure. But you know, I'm not dead, and I realized with this particular injury, which is on the C5, C6 area, it could be a lot worse.
Oh, knock on wood, man.
Yeah, but attitude adjustment has been a big.
And oh man, I mean, I'm happy that you're still in one piece because and you're still able to play drums. And I hope 2021. I mean, you're back on the road again. I mean, at least stay like this, Burke. Stay in one piece,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I'm 221. If I'm 100%, I would like that. That's the picture in my head, even though the surgeon says 90 at the best. But I'm working. I'm doing all kinds of therapy, with like electricity therapy, and I do this thing called blood flow restriction, which is like weight training with tourniquets on, and I swim a lot, drumming all the time.
Awesome.
I'm trying everything I can. I'm not giving up yet.
No, don't, man, don't. Rock and roll needs you. You can't give up yet, Burke. Can't give up yet.
Tell me. So I do my little interviews too with some of my drum heroes and musical heroes. And when I get to Vegas, I was just talking to my friend. His name's Eric Hawk, and I played in his band a long time ago called The Lashes, and I think they're on Columbia for a couple records. And then he joined a band called Portugal the Man. And I was just talking to him the other day, and he's going to come on my thing, and we're going to talk about our spine injuries. He has a really bad spine injury. Yeah, so he's had to go through major
stuff to get himself
Yeah. But to see a dude rock, to see a dude be so successful where he is right now in a wheelchair, playing sold out amphitheaters every night in a wheelchair is like
the big clap of hands.
Super inspiring. Yeah.
True. And Burke, I've been looking here, you haven't played with top notch bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Offspring, Motorhead, Pearl Jam, Perfect Circle, Sugar Ray. Wow, Third Eye Blind, Leroy Bell, and I mean the list is endless.
On and on.
And then also Duff McKagan, Loaded.
Yeah.
How did you get all these gigs, dude? Because these gigs, they don't come like this, as I said before, poof, hey Burke, come.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to people. Number one is meet people. Develop relationships. Don't be an asshole. When there's a big thing. If you can't last with 5 sweaty dudes in a van, for weeks at a time, you're not gonna make it.
It's true.
I would say half of those are through Loaded, and the other half is just people know what you do, and you get in a room. The Offspring was an audition for their drumming gig in 2007, and the Pumpkins was an audition for the drumming gig in 2009. The Pumpkins drumming gig basically came from the Offspring's manager because he saw what I did there, and he got me in the Pumpkins room. The Third Eye Blind thing was through my Priss, my one-man band thing, that when I was playing a festival up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and their management team saw me there, and they took my CD and that stuff, and they said, we think you'd be really good for this other project coming out of Third Eye Blind, and so I met the guitar player Tony, and we started writing songs together, and then even Tony was instrumental in helping me put me in other rooms, because he really believed in my playing. And the Leroy Bell thing was through, I fill in this band called Dr. Funk, which is a Tower of Power cover band in Seattle. And the drummer of that band is Ben Smith from Heart. And he saw me play at some bar, and he said, hey, I got to go on this Heart tour. Can you fill in for me with this other band? And I said, yeah, sure. So I'm his backup drummer in this Dr. Funk thing, and it's really taught me to play in a different way. It's been really good for me. It's a mix. It's just a mix. And my audition for Loaded was, I knew this guy Jeff Rouse and this other guy Mike Squires from other band, Alien Crime Syndicate, Nevada Bachelors, which were local Seattle bands, and I was in Priss and Vendetta Red at the time in its early stages. So they knew me, I knew them, but we never played in a band together. And then they had an emergency gig, which just happened to be halftime at Seattle Seahawks Seahawks game a few years back, and we did a couple rehearsals, and so that was my audition in front of 60,000 people.
Just like this.
Yeah, we had one or two rehearsals for that, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, it sounds good." And just from that, I wasn't the official drummer yet. Some time passed. I was still doing Vendetta Red touring and stuff. And then I got a call from Mike and Jeff the next year, and they were going out with they were going to Brazil to do the SWU and tour UK and Motorhead in Germany, and they're like, hey, can you play with us? Can you go out, because we have an issue. And then from that point on, I was in, permanently. So And
did you know Doug before, or
no?
Oh,
Nope.
I thought you knew him, because since you live in Seattle, you guys could bump into each other.
No, I just heard. No, yeah, I never met. I met him at the first rehearsal. Yeah. But they knew each other for quite a while. Yeah. But yeah, he's like the best. He's like the big brother I never had. He's like, he's been through a lot. And he's just very positive. He likes to work out as much as I do. And he's a good I don't know what you call it, someone to bounce stuff off of. He's just very balanced and experienced and really smart and super funny. Rarely takes things seriously, and sometimes I can go too far down that road, especially like when I'm in the touring zone, and I tend to lose my sense of humor. Yeah, because I want everything to be perfect, and he always has some joke around the corner to lighten me up.
Yeah, because that was gonna ask you, like, how is to play with Duff and then be in the band with Duff, because Duff seems to be like, a very laid back dude, like, but at the same time, really, hey, he knows what he wanted. And I was thinking like, well, is this stressy or not at all? It just goes with the flow.
In the beginning, when he didn't know if he could trust me or not, it was more stressful. Yeah, it was more stressful. I don't want to go into details, but there was things during rehearsal where, you had to learn about each other and what's going to work and what's not. Some bands are a little looser. Some bands are a little more creative. Some you want to play by the book, like with the Offspring audition. They wanted every single hit and every single fill to be exactly how it was recorded,
Oh, shit.
And in the Pumpkins audition, it was like, yeah, just wing it. Just have fun, just get loose or whatever. We don't want your creativity. So, and with him, it was somewhere in between. Like, he wanted to know what to count on, but at the same time, he wanted the personality in my playing. And then shows down the line, say third or fourth show into that first UK tour, he was like, yeah, I can trust this guy, I wasn't a jerk. And
nice.
I do make my loaded band members kind of nervous, because I have this thing about, I don't like to hang out and chat a lot before the show and after. After the show, I'm just really kind of, I have all this angry energy that I need to get out. So I need to go running, or I need to go to the gym, or be alone, or go on the bus or something. But before the show, I don't like to, I can't get revved up by just having general chit chat. So I go away, and sometimes I cut it a little close to showtime by the time I show up again. And I think it drives them nuts, but I've never missed a show.
I hope it won't.
No. I've almost missed a plane once, but
Burke, you're not the only one, man, missing things. I missed bus rides from Bosnia back to Austria. I missed plane from Belgium to Helsinki. I know how it is.
Yeah, but not in that band. And I remember them running into my room, like Duff almost bursting the door down, and I wasn't even packed yet, and he's like, I thought you got the note from where you been? They're like already in the van in the lobby. It's like, there was just miscommunication. But I know they thought, oh, it's just Burke up to his old tricks again, making everybody sweat it out.
Oh gosh.
I'll blame it on the tour manager.
I mean, it's always everything that goes wrong. Oh, it's the tour manager.
Tour manager, yeah.
I mean, every band needs a scapegoat. The scapegoat is the tour manager.
Yeah. I think I actually, in one of the Vendetta Red tours, I think I actually ran out of gas once driving, and the tour manager got fired from it.
No way. Damn.
But, you know, that's neither here nor there. We all move on.
Oh, it's true. Burke, I mean, I heard that you're a big fan of Rush.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was one of the,
Mm-hmm. Tell me. Because, I mean, I love Rush as well, you know.
So
when you just started listening to Rush and
I talked about K-Rock in LA, and they were all new wave. I really wasn't into progressive rock when I was younger. I wasn't into classic rock when I was younger, maybe a little bit, but I was more into like weird sounds and synthesizers and stuff. But from K-Rock, I heard Missing Persons, which I still love, you know, and Terry Bozzio, which is just like, when you're trying to learn drums and you hear Ringo Starr, who's amazing, and you hear these Beach Boys and things like that, but then you hear Terry Bozzio and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, how is he doing that stuff? So I became obsessed with Terry Bozzio and his really amazing way of playing. And I was working in a fast food restaurant after football practice every day, and I would close down the restaurant with the manager. And he was a gigantic Rush fan, and I've really never heard that much. I mean, I heard Tom Sawyer, I heard, you know, maybe Fly By Night or something like that. But I was like, then we got in this argument about who the best drummer in the world was, you know. And
he was like this.
Missing Persons, and he's like, take this cassette tape, and it was Exit Stage Left. And I was like, take this cassette tape. It was Spring Session M, and we swapped, and we both came back like a couple of days later, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't heard this stuff before. So from that point on, I was like, I listened to Exit Stage Left, obsessed over it every day, tried to teach myself the stuff. And then I got more deep into the catalog. You know, I went forward in the catalog and went back in the catalog. And just, you know, it didn't stop from there. And I've seen them like, you know, 20 times or whatever. And yeah, that was a really sad day in January. It's like a day that you never think would happen, you know, but he had
unfortunately,
issues, yeah. But yeah, I took more from him, Larry Mullen, Dave Barbarossa from Bow Wow Wow, Martin Chambers from the Pretenders, who was my first guest. Those are the main guys for me, for sure.
And have you ever had the chance like to tour with Rush? I mean, with the other bands you were in before?
I wish. Trying to figure out what band would have worked with that. It would have had to have been some kind of a festival where it's a mixed bag, you know, on stage or something like that. I haven't, and I never did, but that's so far away. Like, I've met a lot of gigantic rock stars, but to me, that's even like outer space to me, to be like in a room with those guys.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And how was 2020 for you since January until now? What have you been doing?
So I still am able to teach. I have a small school called Loud House. I have some kids who cover physically, the brave parents, and then most of it's on Zoom or Skype. I teach every instrument, you know, from the basic level up to advanced on certain instruments, and I also teach how to put songs together and how to record yourself, and you know, how to set mics up, how to plug things in, how to set up your Pro Tools software, all that stuff. And the ages go from 6 to well, I have a 40-plus-year-old piano student now, but basically 6 to like 17. I was at the School of Rock for 3 years. That didn't end too well, so I started my own thing, and that takes up most of my time. And then I have this channel called Drum Recovery Network. So I just wanted to put positive energy out there and talk to my the heroes who I wanted, made me want to play music in the first place. And most of them have said yes. So it really started with Martin from the Pretenders. It's like once he said yes, and once I was able to talk to him, I was like, wow, I might have something here.
Mm-hmm.
So and then like five more guys, five more heroes said yes, and they're like, wow, now I have to learn how to edit. I'm learning how to talk to people, which I'm horrible at that. You know, totally antisocial, very quiet, very shy. And now I have to try to do what you're doing. You know, try to set up questions properly, or try to have some kind of a flow. Look at the interviews and see that all the things I'm doing wrong, like stuff that I do wrong that you don't, is I say a lot of ohms, and I look off to the side of the screen when I'm thinking a lot. You know, it's stuff that I look at like that I have to correct. You know,
I do that sometimes as well. You know, especially like, for example, from backstage interviewing a band, and then all of a sudden another band member passes by, you know, hey Fabio, whatever, you know, what's up, you know, or I listen to this. All of a sudden, I just go a little bit like this, like, oh, gosh, I gotta come back in character again, you know. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know, and now, and even like stuff like Phonics, like when I do, I do like little intros before the guests come on, like kind of a VH1 behind the music kind of video splice, and I write it out, and then when I say the words, I'll have to do it, like sometimes I have to do the same word 20 times because it's just not coming out of my mouth properly, because then, you know.
Well, I mean,
I can't say that word, you know, and I have to keep going and have to edit it in.
Or or sometimes you gotta do like I did, like in the beginning of our interview, take 1, take 2, take 3, and then all right, I got the right thing.
Yeah. But I'm so OCD when it comes to that stuff that sometimes I'll have to like, I'll literally try to start a sentence like 20 times, you know. It's so much. It's like I'll edit for 30 minutes to get it down to a 3-minute intro. It's terrible.
Burke, you're not the only one, man.
Oh.
You're not the only one. I'm the same.
Good to know.
Burke, now let's talk a little bit like about next year. I mean, how's 2021? I mean, you guys, do you have plans with Duff or other bands or gigs?
You know, he's had so much. I know that I saw an ad for Guns N' Roses doing an Australia thing.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Usually when I see that stuff, I think, you know, the Loaded stuff is definitely on hold.
Mm-hmm.
Although we have done things in between Guns tours before, but you know, that takes so much preparation and you know, all the rehearsal time and whatever, that, you know, when the call happens, I'm sure we'll all be totally into it, you know. But for now, we keep in touch with each other and support each other's projects and lives and stuff like that, which is cool. But as far as next year, I hope to get back on stage again. I hope to be healthier. I'm constantly, you know, I was distracted with other things after the accident. I was concentrating on other things as if the accident didn't happen. This year, I'm just totally obsessed. I go to like 25 different kinds of therapy. I'm just constantly at appointments. I'm constantly trying to get better. And hopefully, if I'm on this track by next year, you know, I'll be improved from what I was this year. And I just want to get better at my craft, you know, and it's really just all about my physical being, you know. Not only that, but being healthier in general, you know. Like now I'm drinking water. I've never drank water really in my life. I'm forcing myself to drink more water. I'm taking a bunch of supplements. Just trying to get other aspects of life better before the rock starts again. And continue to teach and hopefully continue to do these interviews. And maybe I'm hoping, there's so much content there, but I'm terrible at algorithms. I need to get better at that. I need to get better at algorithms so more people can see these amazing players that I'm interviewing.
And Burke, I mean, how do you see this? Since we talk about 2021, and now unfortunately we live in this nonsense time like called Corona. How do you see? Or how do you think Corona affected, like, the music industry? I mean, your music industry, let's say, because I mean, people have different things.
Yeah, it pretty much killed it. Like, I mean, the music industry was going down anyway, but
True.
Taking my community, my friends, off the stage, not being able to perform, not being able to do what they love, even though, you know, they're not millionaires and they're not rock stars, but it's what they love, and they want to be creative and
Mm-hmm.
audience, and just having doors shut, you know, in general because of this thing, you know, it's just very sad and smothering. And so there's a lot of desperation out there. If you look on Instagram, you look on Facebook and YouTube, there's a lot of desperate musicians who don't really know what to do. And that's understandable. So
It's true. I mean, I've seen lots of people like, posting things or talking about things or what are you gonna do? Now I'm not on tour anymore. I mean, I don't know how to do anything else besides playing music and this and that. People like, and some people they talk about like, oh, next year is gonna be the same thing. Some people say, no, next year is gonna be better. What do you think?
well, not to be a downer, but my
Hmm.
wife she's obsessed with cryptocurrency and the stock market,
Hmm.
and very highly read on that and skilled on that at this point. And so as far as economy, at least that part globally does not look good, and people should start to take that as
Watch out.
reality and prep as much as they can in intelligent ways to, you know, prepare themselves and their families for what might come. As far as the actual virus,
Hmm.
I am not, I don't fall really in the category of probably the popular opinion.
Hmm.
Not only do I have more important things to worry about, which is walking across the street without falling, but I think if people, you know, it's a drastic opinion, but I listen to a lot of doctors because I go to a lot of doctor's appointments, and these
Hmm.
are the people who should know, you know, and I think people should start taking their zinc. That's what I think. And I think they should stop being so fearful. And I do believe in, um, the human body and in the magic of it, and
Me too.
the protection, the immunity that the human
Hmm.
body can build up, you know. And I think it's really fear driven right now. And I do think that it is quite politicized. And that's all pretty much I'll say about that. You know, I'll say that I really hope it gets better. That's what I say. But I would really wish, especially my friends that I see posting all the time, would not be so scared.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel bad.
I agree. I agree with you as well, Burke.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as I said, I mean, sometimes I talk to like people from record companies, sometimes like bands or band managers or promoters, and I hear both sides, when it comes
Yeah.
to the music industry. Oh, next year's gonna be bad. Oh, next
Mhm.
year's gonna be better. And I go on the same path as you're saying before. Financially,
Yeah.
next year, who knows? Because right now everything is just like
Yeah.
this. Music wise,
Yeah.
well, I mean, money, music, they walk together. You know,
Hmm.
festivals, everything. You need money. You need, Well, I
Yeah.
hope like things turn a little bit better. Like the financial kind of crisis we're living at the moment because of Corona will stop and then things rise again. And the best thing, like something that we humans we need, is entertainment. The entertainment comes
Yeah.
again because it makes us laugh, makes us, I don't know, like not be afraid to wear a mask or wash your hands, this paranoia,
Hmm.
You listen to music, you feel
Yeah.
good, especially like as you said before during the interview, you go to a concert and you see your band is there, the lights, the vibration makes you
Yeah. Well, I watch a lot of NFL football. You know, I watch a lot of pro sports. I like
Mhm.
stupid stuff like that. And the coaches have a mask on, but all the dudes running into each other at 300 pounds at full force, smearing their sweat and their spit
Exactly,
into each other's faces, no
exactly.
masks whatsoever. And the coaches get fined for bringing a mask down so they could talk to a player.
Exactly.
I mean, and evidently Australia, you know, they don't have a problem, right? Like, why would you put all those guys in harm's way if that tour is totally booked? Like, I guess that Australia thinks that it's all going to clear up by 2021. I don't know.
Yeah, I was talking to the manager of Dead Daisies, Dave Edwards,
Yeah.
2 days ago on WhatsApp, and he told me like, dude, things are pretty much under control here in Australia and New Zealand as well, and we're pretty
Wow.
much opening for tours next year. It's like, how come? Because in Europe and in the Americas, like North, Central, and South America, everybody's still like, no, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have to trust him, I guess. I mean, I wish the governor of Washington State and California felt the same way. Did you see that the governor of California was caught in a restaurant the other day?
No. Tell us about it, because I didn't know that.
Call him like Dictator Newsom or something, but he laid down a mandate that closing down restaurants, closing down bars, closing down everything. And then he was caught in a fancy restaurant in LA just a couple days after that with a bunch of high up health officials having a fancy dinner. No one had masks on. You can find the photo on the internet if you want. Yeah.
What a douchebag.
Like my wife says, it was like, let them eat cake, you know. It's totally crazy. I'm sure there's many instances around the world like that, you know.
I mean, they preach something, but they don't do what they preach. Yeah. But us, you know, the bottom of the pyramid, we have to follow the rules, which is not fair.
Yeah.
But I hear you. Burke, my man, I know you're on the road. You're going home for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. Are those drumsticks?
Oh, yeah, man.
Are you a drummer?
Oh, yeah. Not a professional.
Cool.
Not a professional, but I mean, I'm like this. I come from a musician family, you know, into the gospel music. Yeah. And my mom played piano, you know. When I was the age of 12, I started playing guitar, acoustic guitar, but I didn't like much because they wanted to play the church music, and I wanted to play rock and roll, you know. I mean, I grew up in the time of Ozzy Osbourne, you know, Maiden, and Rush as well, Van Halen, you name it.
Yeah.
And at the age of 16, 17, I taught myself how to play drums, you know. I mean, I'm not like, you know, a drummer. I mean, I just follow, you know, I just go with the fun, you know, and I love it. And I love it because it's an instrument that if I can play it, you know, I can close my eyes, especially nowadays. I was like, Corona what? Or probably what? You know,
it's your meditation.
It is. Yeah. And then, I mean, right now we talk, I mean, doing the interview, but I have the thing in my hand, like just, you know.
Yeah. I hear you. It's like you're in school tapping on your desk.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I really appreciate talking to you finally.
Man, it was a huge pleasure. Huge pleasure. And I hope, man, I see you, I don't know, like bump to you like on the road, or I don't know, like maybe some festivals or something in Europe or in Brazil, or.
First chance I get.
Hope so.
Gotta get out of the
house. Oh, yeah. All right, Burke. Thank you so much, man, for this interview.
You bet. Let me know if you need anything.
Sure. Take it easy.
All right.